Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Salesforce security demonstration about protecting your apps and your custom Apex from SQL injection and building security into your code. My name is Roy Davis, and I'm a senior product security engineer here at Salesforce. I've been a member of the security team for almost 4 years, and I love working at Salesforce. It's a great company. Now, as a developer, you have a lot of power on the Salesforce platform. You all know that. And with that power comes a responsibility to ensure that your apps are secure and maintain trust in the platform. Today, we're going to talk about one type of vulnerability called SQL injection, and we'll take a look at one of the ways that you can avoid introducing it into your code. Now, there's two specific Trailhead modules you'll want to review in relation to this demo. They are called Understand SQL Injection and Prevent SQL Injection in your code. To work the demo yourself, make sure to visit the Get Started with Application Security module to create the Kingdom org that you'll see in this demo. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the security vulnerability itself. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll use my implementation of the Kingdom org on Trailhead. So go ahead and log in. And after logging into the Kingdom org, we're going to navigate to the SQL injection app in the drop-down list, and then we'll select the SQL injection demo. Now, this is already on the SQL injection demo, but you'll see over here in the apps list, there's lots of other demo apps that you'll be using as you go through that trail mix of security topics. So now we're going to click the SQL injection demo, and you can see now that we've got this page where we can perform searches across the kingdom by title or by age. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is search by title. So let's do title of Sir. All right, perform search. And you can see that we've got a bunch of data returned here. All of the titles are Sir. Now, I've added something to this demo just so we can see the SQL string that's generated and being used internally by the Apex controller. And you can see we have select name, role, title, age from personnel, where title is like Sir. And then we've got these wildcard characters here. All right, well, that was simple enough, right? It behaved as expected. And now let's try and be malicious. Let's put on our hacker hat. And instead of searching for a valid input string, we're going to use a SQL wildcard and an AND condition to do some SQL injection. Now, this condition should tell the SQL query to only return users with a low performance rating because the search string for the title is a wildcard. Essentially, I'm asking SQL to return to me all the citizens with a performance rating that's low. So this shouldn't be allowed, right? Obviously. And so we're going to see how SQL injection really works. So I'm going to grab this string here and I'll go ahead and paste it down here. We'll get rid of the Sir and we'll paste in our injection string. Now you can see I started it with a single tick mark, right? And then the AND keyword and performance rating, which is a column of data in the table, and then less than 20. And name like single tick mark right there. Let's see what happens to our SQL string and our resulting data set once I perform this search. Well, you can see the SQL string has our payload injected, right? We've got %tick and performance ratings less than 20. So the name is like %, that'll match anything. The title is like %, that'll match anything. So basically I've short-circuited the SQL query to just return me rows with performance rating less than 20. And look, there's 2. So, this shouldn't be allowed, right? Based on the field level security settings and what this app is supposed to do, it shouldn't be allowed, but it does work. You can see Chris and Grace apparently have low performance ratings. And so we've seen this application ends up allowing you, an end user who can't normally do these types of things, essentially run unlimited SQL queries without running into any permissions issues, problems that you normally would in Salesforce. But why? Well, let's open up the Apex controller that is actually handling getting these research results, and let's have a look. So we'll do that down here, Visualforce page, Apex controller. Let's pick Apex controller, and we'll go to the edit window. And then we're going to just scroll up a bit. And here on line 23 is where all of the problems start. So up here, we've got our query, which is static, right? Static string, and our where clause plus equal title, like, and then our input. So this is input coming directly from the user, right? And one of the first rules of secure development is never trust user-controlled input. So what's happening here is the application is trusting that the user-controlled data is safe. And when a malicious user abuses that trust, they are able to retrieve data that they shouldn't have access to. In this case, Who in the Kingdom has a low performance rating. So how can you develop Apex code that is not vulnerable to this type of injection attack? Well, there's several ways, in fact, and implementing more than one may seem redundant, but it's what security folks call defense in depth. And you can think of this concept in the same way that you might think of protecting a castle. With a moat and a drawbridge and huge stone walls and archers and knights in shining armor, you'll have several layers of defense to rely on. No application or computer system is ever 100% secure, but when defense in depth is implemented, we can reduce the risk to an acceptable level while keeping applications functional for the users. So in this short demo, I only have time to show you one of the ways to protect against this vulnerability, but if you want more, keep an eye on the Salesforce developer channel and you can watch the full 25-minute video in which I go into more detail and more remediation approaches. Now, the one solution we're going to talk about is the use of bind variables. And as we've seen, allowing user input directly in a SOQL query opens the application to SOQL injection. To mitigate this risk, let's translate the query into a static query and let's use bind variables. So you can see I've got the fix down here. So let's go ahead and just comment out this here and we'll uncomment the fixed string. Now look, we've got our where clause records. That's where we're keeping the records that we get from the database. And this time there is no single tick mark on either end. It's not a string. This is actually a static query. So you can see this, the square brackets on both ends. And then down here where we have textual title, it's preceded by the colon character, which makes this a bind variable. Bound variable to this query. Now we have SQL string here just to show that we are in fact using a bind string. You can remember it said the SOQL string equals blah, blah, blah. And now it's going to say bind string. So let's go ahead and try this out. Let's do a quick save and go back to our application. And let's just reload it because we changed the Apex controller. All right. Now let's put in our SOQL injection attack here with the quotes on either end and perform the search. All right, look, the SOQL string is now a bind string and we get no records back. So why does this solve the injection issue? That's a great question. The use of bind variables ensures that all of the user input is treated as part of the search string, not as an executable element of the query. With bind variables, the attacker isn't able to break out of the control of the SOQL query. So while bind variables and using them are recommended, there are some limitations that you need to understand, and those are explained in more detail in the SOQL injection trails on Trailhead. So in this short talk, we've learned about SOQL injection vulnerabilities in Salesforce Apex and looked at one way to remediate that issue. For more information on this and additional security topics, be sure to go to Trailhead. Thank you for watching and have a great day.